Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, there has been quite the stir in the community, quite the ruckus, if you will, due to the fact that up to this point, I have not reviewed an Arcade Fire studio album. And for that, I have prepared a little statement. And bear with me, here's how it goes. Hey everyone, John from ARTV. It is time for a review of the 5th studio album by the Canadian band Arcade Fire. I don't know why, I have never decided to review an album. Reflector was almost something that I touched on, but for some reason, I just passed it over. They're one of those bands that get so much critical acclaim, but I cannot get into them for the life of me. And I know some will say, that's unexcusable. You have no taste in music. What the hell? You're a music critic. You're supposed to love them. How boring, first of all, would the world be if we always agreed? And secondly, they've never done it for me. They've always just seemed like they were a bit too up there on the old high horse, and it was just music that's not for me, but I totally understand why some people love it. And some of the tracks I do vibe with. The first album that I ever tried was back in 2010, The Suburbs. It was getting all of that acclaim. I think it got a Grammy nod and everything like that. And I couldn't bear the majority of it. I don't know what it is about Arcade Fire's presence and musical style. It's not something that I saw as awful, but I just found it a bit off-putting for some reason. And now, striking back, album number 5 after their album Reflector, which was more of a tick upwards in my opinion for them. I really did enjoy some tracks on that album, and I thought it was solid overall, but I didn't keep going back to it. How did things go this time around whenever they totally change up their style on Everything Now? Looking through the Arcade Fire members section on the Wikipedia page is a bit intimidating, just seeing how many people are actually in the band, how many are involved with touring, making the music, session drummers, touring, keyboardists, everything like that, and then seeing the duties of all of the people here. Like William Butler, dude, how many instruments do you play? Unfortunately for some fans, at least as they would say probably, this album is a bit more stripped, it's a bit more basic, and it leans towards danceable stuff, synth pop, a lot of new wavy type stuff, and then it also plays with a kind of an open range of genres. It seems like they just didn't want to put one label on this, and they made whatever they were feeling to express themselves. And the problem with that is that it goes a little bit all over the place. But whenever they are striking, whenever the iron is hot on this record, they're definitely doing so, and it's working to their advantage. But some of these songs are just repeated loops, and they just have so much repetition in the vocals, like Good Goddamn and Electric Blue. That is just a hard section of the record to listen to for me because I like the instrumentals on them and I like the opening ideas, and I'm like, okay, we got a smooth vibe here on Electric Blue. I'm really liking her vocals on this one. But then it keeps going. And it keeps going. It's like that friend that's talking to you at the party and you're glad to see them because you didn't see them for a while and you're like, all right, we're catching up. But hey, now you're just telling me about the same old stuff over and over again. All right, cool. I already know that. I'm gonna slip out now. Okay, no, you're just gonna keep going? You'll notice a lot of the tracks on this record have very similar names, including Everything _ Now Continued, which makes the album a perfect loop from start to finish. That's the starting moment there, and the final moment is Everything Now Continued without the underscore, and then of course we have the title track, Everything Now, and then we have Infinite Content, Infinite _ Content. They're about to go on the Infinite Content tour. Like, good goddamn. That title track though, that is just a sweeping feeling of euphoria, and it feels great as you sit there taking this song in. It's something that you want to loop just by itself, not even the full album sometimes. This song, just the flute on it, and the guitars, and the uplifting aura of the music. It's something where I see Win Butler on this track and I say yes to everything that him and his band are doing because they just nail it. They nail the exact vibe that they want to go for. There's still some lyrics that you can dig into here, and that's not something that I can say for some of these moments, as repetitive as they are. They just grate on you, and I find myself focusing on the music, and that's not always a bad thing. This album does have some great music and some great grooves that you can slip into and just lock down with those bass moments and that sort of thing. But with Everything Now, it leaves nothing to be desired. inspired. It fulfills everything that you could want from a band in general, and even Arcade Fire. Like I said, haven't been a fan of them in the past, but this track is easily one of my favorites of the year so far. I can also say very good things about Creature Comfort. That is a track that is really just getting into my heart. It's locking its place in, and it's not letting go. The line about sitting in a bathtub and putting on the first record just really got me, because it seems like it's so full of itself, but it seems like it's coming from somebody else's perspective, so I have to give kudos to that. I love this, and I love the trade back and forth between the male and female voice. The way that it seems like it's just like climbing up a mountain the entire time, with the way that the instrumental is trending, and then the vocals are just kind of like almost a background call, but they add so much to the tune. Signs of Life is one that you can just kind of sway your head and snap your fingers to, because it's got this great groove, looking for signs of life, and it's just something that seems like it's a bit mysterious, it's a bit dancey, maybe from like the late 70s, early 80s, a little bit of disco dip thing going on here, and I'm okay with that, honestly. If Arcade Fire maybe want to make their music a bit more basic, at least some of the time, I'm totally on board with that, because here it sounds perfectly fine to me, and I can understand why many would have a problem with that, especially on some of these moments that just seemingly go over and over again, like infinite content, and then the slowed down infinite underscore content, which is really just the same thing, but slowed down to a bit more of a snail's pace, and it gets on my nerves. But then I just look to some of the great moments here, and I'm like, this album is worthwhile in a sense, but at the same time, I just want to throw a lot of it away. You gotta love them just going all out on almost the kind of 60s jangle pop meets a little bit of just like maybe like a little bit of a line dance and a little bit of electro swag, and that bass line, that flourish, on Chemistry. It's a moment that kind of lights you up in a way. It is very monotonous in the sense that it just kind of beats you over the head with its message, you and me, chemistry, but at the same time, it did its job. It locked itself in your head, and you're gonna find yourself at your workplace, at school, at home, with your babysitter. I don't know how old you are, but you're gonna be humming it, you're gonna be singing it, and you're probably gonna be okay with that. The end of the record is a bit of a mess for me, because like I mentioned earlier, the infinite contents, the good goddamn, the electric blue, it's moments that I just don't care for, and ones that I could probably easily skip through, especially after listening to like the first minute of these songs. It's like, I'm ready to move on. I'm ready for something else. And then we get to the fantastic synth-led Put Your Money on Me. The synthesizers and the way that they just kind of float and shake on this. It's something straight out of 80s synth pop, and the worship here is very much appreciated by me. I know maybe you don't feel the same way. Maybe you're like,
John, everybody's doing synth pop, everybody's doing the 80s, why does my precious Arcade Fire have to go so basic?
but at the same time, the track's a bit undeniable. Just give it a little bit more of a chance, I promise. I'm so on the fence with this record because some of the songs are just straight up annoying to me, like Peter Pan, Infinite Content, but then on the other hand, you've got the ones that totally just shine like a star. Creature Comfort, Signs of Life, Everything Now, and Put Your Money on Me. It's a worthwhile listen overall, but I don't think it's gonna be one of those records, despite what they made it to be, I don't think it's gonna be one of their records that's just remembered as being an album. I think it's gonna be remembered for having some great songs on it, maybe ripping off their album cover from another band if it's not in the United States. We'll leave it at that. That's a joke. I'm not gonna say anything else. You guys heard my case that I pled for this record, Everything Now. What do you think? Sound off in the comments section down below, and don't forget to let me know what Arcade Fire album that I really should make an effort to get into. I can't guarantee that it'll happen because everybody hears music differently, but I will be willing to try out one of their albums one more time just to give it another chance. Not that I wouldn't do this anyways, but I like to know a good starting point. So for me, with Everything Now, favorites and least favorites in the description down below, I'm gonna give this a strong 3 out of 5. I know up to this point I hadn't done it, I hadn't reviewed an Arcade Fire album, so I hope you guys are finally happy. It's all just opinion, guys. Don't forget to leave a like on the video today while you're here, and if you're able to, please support me on Patreon. It's that annotation over in the corner of the screen. If you would like to see another indie and rock review, click right here, or another recent video that I did on ARTV, click right here. All of my socials are in the description, and I will see you very soon right here on this channel.